All right, good afternoon. Susan, I just wanted to give you another update on now Tropical Storm Henri. It's worth noting that it just hit landfall in westerly Rhode Island. Remember, we thought early on it was going to be in New Haven, then we thought it might be in New London, and it's gone up the shore a little bit to westerly Rhode Island. What does that mean? I've had it explained to me that hurricanes pick up speed when they're over water. They lose potency when they're over land. So where it hits land is an incredibly important detail. Hitting Rhode Island, which is just down the road, they have 75,000 outages in Rhode Island, given the nature of that hit there. I was just on the phone with Governor McKee up in Rhode Island saying anything we can do to work together to keep people safe. 75,000 in Rhode Island, 24,000 in Connecticut at this point. That number is concerning. Most of the outages in southeast Connecticut. Canterbury, I'm afraid, seems to be number one. Stonington, number two. Plainfield and other towns as the storm continues to move from southeast or northeast to northwest Connecticut. You'll see that over the next 12 hours or so. We're at 24,000. Compare that to 800,000 that were the outages we had at the worst of ICEA. But we're still just getting started. We'll have to track this very closely going forward. 75,000 Rhode Island, 24,000 Connecticut, 7,000 Massachusetts, 2,600 New York. Those are the number of outages. Again, just a reminder how big a deal it is where the storm hits. I got to say, I was just joking a little bit with the friends in the operations center where for the last year I've been an amateur epidemiologist. Over the last week I've been an amateur meteorologist, and Susan says I may need a psychologist pretty soon. But fortunately, I've got David Manning here. David is here on loan, National Weather Service, so we have a real meteorologist to help answer your questions. It's fascinating. They have planes flying through the hurricane, monitoring in real time, along with the radar, along with what you get with satellite delivery, tracking where the densest of the rainfalls are, so we can track that in terms of where they'll stream into the rivers and what parts of the rivers are most likely, to flood. So our team, I think, here is well organized and working this very hard. Broadly speaking, the other thing moving the eye of the storm up to westerly is it's outside the entrance to Long Island Sound. Outside the entrance a little bit means less storm surge inside Long Island Sound, less storm surge along our coast, which I think makes an enormous difference. A little less wind. You know that we've gone from a hurricane to tropical storm, but don't get complacent. As I said before, Sandy, ICEA, those were not hurricanes either. Because the terrain is so wet, you do have just a 40, 50 knot gust, knocks over trees, and that's why we're watching the power outage situation so carefully. With that, I got to say, we've been in close contact with FEMA, who've been incredibly supportive. They've got water resources up here and water trailers. They're over at our New Britain facility right now. We've had to close down several nursing facilities, move people there, residents there to more safe, secure places as well. And, with that, we're happy to take your questions. I mentioned David Manning, National Weather Service, Brenda, Regina, Marissa Gillette. I think you know Marissa, runs Pura, and very close relationship in terms of monitoring what's going on with our utilities and telecom.
Can you tell us which nursing homes had to be evacuated?
So there was one in Guilford, Old Saybrook, and Brenda, do you remember the other one?
I think it was it Branford?
West Haven.
And West Haven.
In West Haven. I'll get you that.
Is there any,
And it was about 280-ish people altogether
and they were brought to a shelter?
to an alternative site.
Going into this afternoon, are you worried about flash flooding? We saw last week in Hartford, under West Hartford, all of this flash flooding really taking control of neighborhoods. Are you concerned about that today?
I'm concerned about that. I think that's the biggest risk that we have right now. As you know, we had a lot of rain over the last week. The topsoil is thin. You have rock underneath. That means the topsoil is filling up like a sponge fills with water. That water is pouring off right now. We have some potential for urban flooding, not to mention the highest tides, as I said yesterday, due to the full moon. So we're following the flooding possibilities very carefully and tracking that. Right now, mayors working with their local emergency centers and give us the information so we can all respond accordingly.
Governor, after the storm is over, we're expecting high temperatures, which could be a problem for some people who have lost power. What is the state doing to help them?
The question is about the possibility that there are going to be electric outages, people without air conditioning, 90-degree temperatures next week. First and foremost, we're getting the power back on. As I said before, we got twice as many crews on the ground as we've ever had before. Really prioritizing the densest areas where you have the most outages so we can take care of people there. Secondly, in terms of generators and the such, we've got standby power to back that up. That's particularly concerning in places like nursing homes where they can't. And finally, we have the cooling centers. And worse comes to worse, and they can't get air conditioning in places where people absolutely need it, not to mention power just to keep your medicine and your food safe, will get you to a cooling center.
And people should call 211 to find out where they can charge their phones, take a shower, be in the AC. A lot of municipalities are standing those up.
No, I know that we've been focusing a lot on the shoreline because of, those areas are getting hit really hard right now. But we know that a couple of days ago, Litchfield County was hit really hard with flash flooding and lots of power lines and trees down. Are you anticipating, and I don't know if anyone from the National Weather Service could help out?
Yeah, I'm going to introduce David to Doug. I can just tell you right now, you looked at the track of this storm. It's going right across from eastern Connecticut to northwest Connecticut, and that's where most of the rain will be dropping. But David, do you want to add to that?
Sure. Right now, our forecasters are monitoring all the information that we get from this storm, and as the heavy rainfall moves into the northwest part of the state, we will be watching and issue flood warnings and flash flood warnings as the situation dictates. So once we get the rainfall that actually hits the ground, we'll issue the necessary warnings.
Melissa, I'm sorry. Can you talk a little bit about what folks who have lost power should be looking out for since the new law was passed? What are some of their rights with the utilities?
Sure, great question. So the Take Back Our Grid Act, which was signed into law by the governor last fall following the August tropical storm, empowered PURA to hold the utilities accountable in ways that we have not seen before. One of those includes being able to file, residential customers being able to file for reimbursement of lost food and spoiled prescription medication. You also are empowered to receive a $25 per day credit for outages that last longer than 96 hours. The 96 hours is also the same provision for the lost food and spoiled medication. That clock, importantly, doesn't start ticking until damage assessors can get out into the area. So basically, once this storm has left the area and damage assessors can get out there safely, that's when the clock starts ticking.
And how does one get a damage assessor to their area?
Sure. The damage assessors are proactively deployed by the utilities. So the number of damage assessors that both utilities have to deploy was one of the findings from our tropical storm investigation mandated that they greatly accelerate the number of damage assessors and that they have to get those damage assessors out into the field as soon as it's safe to do so. So once this storm moves out of the area.
And Jody, I think Eversource told us that they had 600 damage assessors ready to go.
Absolutely.
This is a question for Farrell. Do you think the cost-plus model of utility delivery is still compatible with the growing threat of climate change and more storms? Is it a possibility that utilities should bear more risk than the consumers are bearing?
I would agree wholeheartedly with that statement, and I think you saw the governor endorse that approach last year as well. So the switch from the cost-based rate-making model to a performance-based regulation is underway. PURA opened that docket in June, and we're already making strides towards that. So I think I've been pretty vocal about the need for the shifting from the ratepayers to the utility shareholders. And you will see us undertake that in earnest over the next year.
Has there been an update on how COVID is going throughout the hospitals
I haven't seen the weekend numbers yet. I'm going to get that. We were flattening the curve at the end of last week, but we are working very closely because we're bringing in utility folks from all over the region, as far afield as Texas. You know, some places are more infected than Connecticut. So I can tell you that Deirdre Gifford is very conscious about making sure that testing and vaccinations are available for all the people coming into the state to deal with this hurricane. Would you like Paul to give you the update on the nursing homes?
Sure, if you have something.
Good afternoon, Paul Mounds, Chief of Staff for the Governor. Just on the nursing home update, first of all, I want to say Commissioner Gifford, as well as Director of DPH, Barbara Cass, have been in touch with all the nursing homes thoroughly. Currently, at this time, we have 4 that did do evacuations. That's Apple of Saybrook. They had a census of 63. Apple of Mystic, which had a census of 45. Apple of Guilford, which had a census of 69, and Apple of West Haven, which has a census of 71. As part of the plan, all of those individuals were temporarily moved to other nursing facilities, and so that has been thoroughly coordinated, and we are consistently watching that throughout the emergency management protocol. Thank you.
Can you just repeat those one more time for me?
Of course. Apple of Saybrook, Apple of Mystic, Apple of Guilford, and Apple of West Haven.
And how many people at Guilford and West Haven?
Guilford is 69, West Haven 71.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Governor, maybe too early to say, but do you have any idea or an estimate of the damages that may have been seen in the southern part of Connecticut where it was really hit?
I think it's too early to say. As you heard Marissa say, we go out, we start doing the damage assessment as soon as the winds die down. You could do it safely. But we do have the emergency declaration. It's been accepted by the feds. So we'll be asking municipalities to quantify the extent of those damages and see what type of federal support we can get. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I didn't know that you're confirmation that we're doing it. I'm not sure when it's gonna